You're listening to the Co-Creator Network. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Hey, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with another edition of Move into the Magic. And we've got an awesome show today because two of my favorite people are on the air. And two of your favorite people are my guests today, Dr. Richard Bartlett and, of course, Melissa Joy Jonsson. Now, some of you who may not know why I'm so happy to have these two here and may be wondering who these people are, I'm going to give you a little background. With Richard and Melissa being world travelers and sharing matrix energetics all over the world, I hope that helps kind of shake your tree a little bit and charge up your memory bank. Because Richard Bartlett, who is the developer of matrix energetics, is awesome. He is a chiropractor, he's a naturopath, but that's not what he's known for. Since he developed matrix energetics and began teaching it, that is what he has been known for. I'm going to, when we're finished with introductions, I'm going to ask him to share a little of his background on how this surfaced, how this came through, because matrix energetics, in my opinion, is the greatest healing modality on this planet right now, short of love itself. And, of course, love is part of matrix energetics. But I adore matrix energetics. My life was transformed the first time I took one of the seminars in 2007, and this is why I'm so happy to have them as my guests. Now, Melissa Joy Jonsson is an instructor with Richard, and together their energies are awesome. Before she began teaching matrix energetics, she spent 15 years as an executive in the pharmaceutical industry. You want to talk 180 degrees difference? Amazing. Melissa Joy is the founder and instructor of the Mjoy of Being seminar series, and I'm going to ask her to share those as well. She has written two books. The first one that I'm going to tell you about is Mjoy, Practically Speaking, Matrix Energetics and Living Your Infinite Potential. It is a marvelous book, and if any of you have taken Matrix Energetics and have not read Melissa's book, you're going to love it because she explains it beautifully. And she's also co-written with Richard Into the Matrix, Guides, Grace, and the Field of the Heart. And I think that's where Matrix Energetics is right now, in the field of the heart. So, welcome, Richard and Melissa, to Move into the Magic. And as I promised, Richard, I'm going to start with you, dear heart. If you will tell everybody a little bit about what occurred back in 1996 that totally redirected the course of your life, I would love that.
Well, I'm not sure what happened still, but basically in 1996, after 2 years of preparation, I was a chiropractor. I graduated in 1987. I had a son that was born with bronchitis, asthma, allergies, and pneumonia. He would get sick every third week in his life. And in my fourth year in chiropractic school, I learned something called total body modification, TBM, which was a reflex technique, the father of all techniques, the best, I think. And in 30 minutes after going to that 4-day seminar, I came back and healed my son. So that put me on the path of weird chiropractic. And in fact, my search to try and heal him before I found that technique, I learned over 40 techniques. I studied in the library the weird stuff that nobody was teaching because what they were teaching wasn't working. So that's the kind of person you're dealing with. So then in it would be 1993, I guess, I decided that I didn't know enough, and I think I forgot how intense medical school was. So in 1993, I reapplied to Bastyr University the naturopathic school, and I worked for 2 years while going to my office and working all day. I studied at night several courses I needed to take to be able to get into their medical program. And then I went in 1996 for the 4-year medical degree, a naturopathic physician, which I graduated in 2000 of December. When I was there, basically it happened because I had to drive back and forth between Seattle, where I was taking my naturopathic schooling, 31 credit hours a semester, to Livingston, Montana, which was a 13-hour drive one way because I did not have a license to practice chiropractic in Washington, and I needed to be able to earn a living still while I was going to school. I was not covered. I made too much money. So it was driving back and forth. I would be up all night, and then I would get into my office in the morning in Livingston, Montana. I'd work all weekend. Then I'd get in the car and drive the 13-hour drive back to naturopathic school. And on Monday morning, I was back in class. And I was also studying all night long. So I really didn't sleep for about 4 years. So sleep deprivation basically is how this happened, I think. And the Big Gulp, Texaco Big Gulp, 64-ounce mug of coffee that I had to drink, which was probably LSD. It was acid, it was like actual acid. You could hallucinate on it. It was so strong. And so one of those times, about 3 months into my Bastyr education and driving back and forth this crazy schedule, I had a woman that came in with her daughter, and the little daughter, she was about 7 years old. She had a lazy eye. And basically, there was no surgery needed. The doctor just said, well, let's just watch it and see if it gets better. And then that wasn't good enough for her, and I had a reputation for weird medicine. So long and short of it, there wasn't anything really in my extensive bag of tricks and my one medical degree and the other one I was building that would help this. There was one technique that could help. It was a cranial adjustment where you put your finger up in the mouth of the child and lift up on the hard palate to free the sphenoid. But children bite, so I knew I wasn't going to do that. And I was out of my mind, quite honestly. I hadn't had any sleep in so long, and I was full of coffee, and I had like 30 patients, I think, that day. And so what I did is I thought, well, I kind of asked an open-ended question. If I could see something useful here, which is not the way I encoded it at the time, but it's what we teach. And I saw Superman. And what this was for me, I think, was an archetype of X-ray vision and miracles. And it was George Reeves' Superman, the old 50s Superman. And his X-ray vision went into the little girl, and I could see a blockage of energy in the little girl's head. And I simply touched where I saw the blockage, and she started blinking at me and looked at me funny and then said, there were two of you. She was starting to see with what's called stereoscopic vision. And that was her mind, her eyesight kicking in, and her brain trying to then compensate. And then what happens is we superimpose those two images to create depth. And that was her lazy eye. It was instantly corrected. That's how it began. The next morning, when I went into my office, the first person I touched started bobbing and weaving, and their vertebrae adjusted by themselves. And who knows what really happened, but that's the story.
Wow. I love that story, Richard. And my own personal experience, if I can throw it in here, as a result of matrix energetics, you probably don't remember. You see, there are so many people in your audience. But several years ago when I took wizard training, I said, well, I adjust myself in the chiropractor's office. He doesn't touch it. And I demonstrated it. And that, or he'll put his hand on my neck. And I rock and roll and bob and weave and flip around, and he's got to watch my elbows because they'll hit him, and I'm totally adjusted. That happened after taking level 3, and I know you've changed the names of the courses, and I'd love you to explain that at some point. But it happened as a result of matrix energetics. because what you do is allow people to express their highest, most limitless potential. And so I'm so grateful to Matrix Energetics. The only thing I can't adjust by myself in my living room, the only thing is my neck, my cervicals. So I go back to the chiropractor, we rock and roll, and we do it. At some point, I'll get unlazy and I'll do my own neck. But the story, that story that you just shared, is awesome. Awesome. The miracles that people experience in the audience as students of Matrix Energetics, you could probably include all of them if you interviewed just anybody from your audience. If you interviewed people, you could probably write a book about the miracles that have been brought about as a result of Matrix Energetics. And listeners, I encourage you to go to the Matrix Energetics website, because they have videos on the website of the miracles taking place. And I'm happy to say that the one in which I appeared back in 2007 is still up. And it was the moment that I got Matrix Energetics, which is why I'm such a fan, and which is why I love having you on my show. And one of the things that's happened with Matrix Energetics, looking on from the outside looking in, is that it has changed. It has transformed. It's become more loving, number one. Number two, just logically, from a matter-of-fact standpoint, the courses have changed names. And I know that the courses, what you teach changes depending on the audience. I know, Melissa, you have a wonderful seminar series, Joy of Being. Will you tell us about that? And if you can, when you're finished, if the two of you want to collaborate on this, you'll have to kind of raise your hand, so to speak. If you'll describe the new courses, the new names, the new context of Matrix Energetics.
Certainly, Maxine. The very nature of consciousness itself is transformation, is change. And so the field of Matrix Energetics continues to evolve as consciousness itself expands, as there is a movement in global consciousness toward the greater recognition of everyone's own inherent limitless potential. So if the seminar series within Matrix Energetics were to remain stagnant, then that would be essentially out of integrity with the very movement that is behind the field of Matrix Energetics. So we have a series of seminars that progress basically from the fundamentals into magic, into mastery. We have Unplugged, we have our new field trip, and we have the Mjoy of Being seminar series. And what each and every individual seminar provides for students are ways of navigating through consciousness, ways to get out of one's own way, how to transcend our programming around limitation, because all sense of limitation is it's programmed. We're basically programmed for fear. We're programmed to think that we're not good enough. We're programmed to believe that we are beings of limitation, when the truth is that we are beings of limitless potential. So the fact that we have a number of miracles unfolding throughout all of the Matrix Energetic seminars is really more the norm than the anomaly, because miracles happen naturally when you let go of your expectations around how reality is supposed to show up. So in the Matrix Energetics Fundamentals seminar, we really focus on the art and science of letting go, of getting out of our own way, primarily through dropping down into the field of the heart and focusing on heart-centered awareness. The field of the heart is really the only part of ourselves that knows itself as being inherently whole, inherently complete, and inherently limitless. It is a core truth that allows for instantaneous transformation to occur, not because we're doing anything, but because we are coming from a state of being where essentially anything is possible, because we're accessing consciousness potential before it expresses out and delineates into a boundary, a parameter, or a limitation. So the fundamental seminar is really about heart-centered awareness, getting out of your own way, and then getting into a conversation with the morphic field of matrix energetics. And when I say the morphic field of matrix energetics, what we're talking about is a specialized field of information that was deliberately engineered initially by Richard Bartlett, and then through the course of a number of individuals who have contributed to the development of the field. And it's based on what is possible, not what is possible. It's a very expansive field of information that is really cultivated for miracles. And we get there through the state of play. Play is the backdrop of everything that we do in matrix energetics. When we play, we let go of our expectations, we let go of our agenda, we let go of our ideas around how reality is supposed to show up. And we really naturally move into the field of the heart, and we're able to easily access our right intuitive brain, which is naturally in resonance with patterns of information as possibilities. So everything that we do in matrix energetics really happens in a very organic, natural way, and it's about getting back to our own inherent natural state. But we've moved so far in our awareness away from that recognition that initially when you encounter the field, it can seem really weird. It can seem quite bizarre. The spontaneous movement that you were referring to earlier, that's a movement in consciousness that's then being expressed through the container of the physical body. But what we're really witnessing is the reconfiguring of the torsion fields of information that are creating and perpetuating certain experiences in our reality. So everything that we do from a state of play, we do from the field of the heart, from an expansive access point of unconditional love as a preconditioned essence. It's not a human emotional I love you standpoint. It's really tapping into the core essence of the very essence of the fabric of the universe. I'd like to turn it over to Richard so he can share a little bit more about the Magic and Mastery courses, if you'd be willing, Richard.
Sure. So
okay.
The fundamental course, we changed. Well, it used to be just level 1, 2, and 3, or level 1 and 2 were fundamentals, and level 3 is magic now, and level 4 is mastery. Well, first thing, we wanted to just describe what the seminars actually represented, and applying a terminology to them that was representative of the patterns that they would encounter was something that strengthened the morphic field of matrix energetics, made it more accessible, and it also, we combined 1 and 2 together, because if you missed 2, you really weren't getting everything you could get from matrix energetics. So we just made it a requirement so that everybody came away satisfied they had everything they wanted. The magic course, well, the fundamentals course talks about some ideas in quantum physics that we've applied to this specific morphic field of matrix energetics. And we have now, particularly with Melissa's wonderful emphasis on the field of the heart, we have moved into torsion field physics, which is something I had researched before, but Melissa really brought it into common usage and made it make sense. Together now, teaching from the field of the heart, we were looking for a physics that matched the expression of what you see in the seminars, and the Russian torsion field physics fits that bill very nicely, or Thomas Bearden has called it scalar physics. So there's that. Then in the magic course, the first course is about getting out of the way, dropping down into your heart, accessing the field as an experience, and surrendering to that field. And so you let go of the need to control. You move from force to finesse. You move to ease rather than struggle. Then when you get to the magic course, we bring back in the mind, but we bring the mind in integrated with the heart of the practitioner. Because once you understand the state of matrix energetics, you can then bring the mind back in, and it won't interfere with the process. Now, magic is built upon a foundation. Well, basically, actually, I got pissed off. I was watching a 2020 white paper on Adam the Dream Healer, and they were saying, they had some so-called expert on that was saying, this isn't, I like to use this voice, this isn't quantum physics, this is magic, and there is no magic in the world, period. And I looked at him, and I growled at the TV, and I do growl, and I said, you want to bet? And I actually, that weekend, developed a magic course, because I was so pissed off, but I realized he was right, too. Because quantum physics doesn't encode for magic unless you can find a way to make it a phenomenon in your life, not an occasional thing, but an everyday manifestation of a alchemical science. And the thing about magic is it was actually the great, like Newton, for instance, Copernicus, many of the great scientists were alchemists and magicians. They were interested in the outplaying of the laws of God through the forces of nature. So magic is a way of, it's kind of like a higher mental body, right brain math, where you're getting into the physics from a heart-based perspective of accessing specific and sometimes ancient morphic fields of possibility. And so we've taken some of the basic ideas in magic, like the magic circle and setting up fields of protection and manifestation and all sorts of things. And we brought that into a very, very practical template that allows you to supercharge your fundamentals experience in matrix energetics. Now, the mastery course used to just be called Level 4, and it's not something I ever even wanted to teach. Basically, what the mastery course represents is it's a compilation and a synthesis of everything I ever learned in weird medicine. And it doesn't duplicate anybody's work, and it's not teaching anybody else's work, but it is teaching the essence of the morphic field of the constructs that are very strong thought forms that allow access to working extremely specifically on particularly physical challenges, but on anything. So it gives you a series of almost like GPS templates or a map to follow that is open-ended, not closed-ended. So, for instance, with the GPS, when I got my first GPS, I used to get lost all the time. If you turn and you go into the woods and you're completely lost and you turn your GPS off. And I used to get lost working on patients all the time because I would go for the unknown. Well, you're in the middle of the unknown, you turn on the GPS, and all of a sudden it says recalibrating. And then it tells you turn left here. And it doesn't matter what turn you take, if you go backwards or whatever, the GPS will always get you home. That's how the mastery course is designed.
You know, you two have explained something inexplicable beautifully. You have, having experienced what you've just described, I found it very difficult to put into words. And bravo to both of you because you have explained it beautifully. Melissa, did you want to add something to that?
Well, I think I just would like to add that what I love about the variation of the offerings of the Matrix Energetic Seminars is that there really is something available for every type of person. And when I say type of person, there are some people that are quite content in not needing to know or comprehend how or why something is happening. They trust in the process, and they're really just delighted to show up for the experience. And if that is an approach that appeals to someone, then that is a very useful way to approach the field of matrix energetics. There are other people that are insatiably curious relative to the whys. They want the information. They want to know process. They want to know how exactly you appear to get from point A to point B. Even if it might not be true, they like a description of information. And so each and every Matrix Energetics class, whether we're talking about fundamentals, magic, mastery, unplugged, the field trip, or Mjoy of Being, they offer a variety of students different ways of navigating through various terrains of consciousness. And no matter what approach you take, no matter what your style is, no matter how you choose to enter into a pattern, there is always going to be a flexibility of consciousness that is available to everyone. The field will meet you wherever you are, and not only will it take you deeper, but it will expand you in the process. So that's what I love the most about Matrix Energetics, is that it's actually extremely practical. Everything that we teach relative to consciousness expansion is applicable in everyday practical living. And so to me, it is the epitome of really coming into a great resonance with the truth of our essence, and then being able to live it and embody it in every single interaction.
I love that description. I love it. I'm reminded as you were speaking, Melissa, of the book that you wrote, Mjoy, Practically Speaking, because when you take Matrix Energetics, you're in the field. You don't. At least I'm in the field. I can't think about what's happening or why it's happening. I'm just kind of doing the backstroke in it. And it's only when you're plopped down after the seminar back into your life that you find that life is quite different. And you have the choice then of taking what you learned and applying it, or being back in a very hard, different realm. Go ahead.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, and the notion that life is very different and it's hard and so forth is right there. That is a notion. I mean, the field of Matrix Energetics, it's a consciousness that you can embody. It is a different way of being. It is a very expansive paradigm that enables you to no longer experience what we refer to as, the sense of struggle creates more struggle, right? As long as you're struggling up against something, or you're perceiving through a lens of awareness that says life is hard, then life will continue to be hard. And we all are going to encounter struggles. We all experience contrast, but what we learn in Matrix Energetics is that contrast is really a powerful trajectory for expansion, for really, it doesn't have to be something that you go up against. It can be something that you work with that enables you to cultivate a greater sense of power. And it's not power over anything or anyone. It is a power of unity-based consciousness that is available through the field of the heart, which lets you navigate through absolutely anything and everything. And the field of Matrix Energetics it's non-local, which means that when you go home, the field is still with you. There's no difference between being at a seminar and being at home, except for the references and distinctions that you've made that experiences need to show up in a certain way because you're at home or you're out in the so-called real world. As Richard will share, there's really no such thing as a real world. There is no out there. We're creating it from within and then experiencing it without.
And you know what? I learned that after, I think it was the third seminar. It was wizard training. I got it then. And I think that's why I so endorse Matrix Energetics, because at that point, my life was transformed. And I've never been the same again. And what I love about Matrix Energetics is that it comes from the heart, and it is constantly evolving. I loved what you said earlier about, if our courses did not change, then we would not be reflecting what's going on out there, what the evolution of the planet. And so I'm really excited that you're coming to Atlanta, and I can't wait to do Unplugged next week because I'm sure it's going to be mind-blowing. Every seminar I've ever taken has been life-transforming, and I could not understand why some people, at the first seminar, first and second, I couldn't understand why they didn't get it. It was so clear. It was so mind-blowing. Words cannot describe it. I'm having difficulty describing it. You know what I'm saying, Melissa.
Well, Richard and I laughed because we still don't get it. I mean, he's been in this field for however many years, Richard, 11, 12 years, or perhaps your
60,
entire life.
60.
Yeah, and you know, I've been playing in this field since 2006, and the minute we think we get it, we actually limit how it can show up because we collapse the parameters into the basis of our understanding. So we like that we don't fully get it. We have some ideas around what may be happening, but really the field it keeps us in a state of perpetual curiosity, and that opens us up into synchronizing our awareness with the limitless potential that is universal consciousness. So not getting it is actually kind of useful. So we are very excited to come to Atlanta. We will be teaching the Matrix Energetics Fundamentals September 19th through the 22nd. And the September 19th introduction to Waking Up in the Matrix is a free Friday night presentation for 2 hours from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Richard and I will be sharing a little bit about the field. We'll be doing demonstrations, and it's really a great opportunity for anyone and everyone who's curious about what is available in this field and what is Matrix Energetics to come and show up. Some students only come to the introductory course and their entire life changes. The value of coming to an entire seminar is that you form very, very valuable conscious references and distinctions for navigating through this field. You learn the 2-point, you learn time travel, you learn parallel universes, archetypes, frequencies, modules, templates. There's such an abundance of information that we share and so many useful strategies for practically navigating through any experience in three-dimensional reality and consciousness. And then we'll be teaching the Unplugged Spatial Clairvoyance class on Tuesday, September 23rd, and that's one of our newest babies. Richard, why don't you share with the listeners what the Unplugged has to offer?
The Unplugged seminar, it's really, we expose what we do all day long, because I realized a number of years ago when I was, quote, struggling to be clairvoyant, to be able to see energy and all of that, I had this silly idea from the Bible that if I couldn't see energy, then someone might die or I might not do the right thing. It's without vision, people perish. You know, that's not a good construct. But so I struggled very much to be able to do that. And at one point I realized that kinesthetically, I track energy and information all the time, always have. And so what we do in that one-day amazing seminar is we unpack together, Melissa and I, the process of asking open-ended questions and then following where your attention takes you without judgment, and then making markers or reference points for that. And that becomes an expansion of the whole 2-point process that we teach in the fundamentals course.
We've really come to realize, particularly through unpacking our process for tracking and following patterns of information and for unpacking the process of clairvoyance, we've come to realize that consciousness itself tends to organize spatially. So we kind of consider the Unplugged class to be like the feng shui of Matrix Energetics, because what we have realized consistently is that when you rearrange how consciousness has been organized through something known as torsion fields, which is the scalar physics that Richard was referring to earlier, when we literally move these torsion fields of information, that allows for a different configuration of consciousness to unfold, and what it expresses is a completely different experience. And it's actually really, really easy. We all naturally have this skill set. We just aren't consciously aware of it. So what we are doing is bringing forth what is already in existence in everybody's awareness, but it may just be laying dormant. And so we're activating that dormancy, and we are bringing it forth into conscious recognition. And we do so primarily through the art and science of play, but it's an incredibly powerful way to change up experiences just by rearranging where the patterns of information are located in our personal biofields. And it's super easy.
Wow. Well, I can't wait for the 23rd because that's the class I'll be taking, and I will be there ready to go. I'm so thrilled that you guys are going to be here in Atlanta. But you do this all over the world. I was looking on the website, and I had no idea how extensive your reach was outside of the United States, because many of our listeners live outside the United States. I know that you've gone to Germany. I know you've been to Great Britain, Italy. I did not know that you were going to Moscow.
We are. We're launching in Moscow, Russia at the end of October, before we will be teaching in Germany, Italy, and England. So we have a very extensive global tour planned for mid-October all the way through December, and then we'll be landing back in Seattle the second week in December and closing out the year with a giant homecoming seminar. So we're very, very excited to bring matrix energetics to Russia, primarily because a lot of the physics that supports this field of miracles came out of Russia. And so it's almost like a homecoming for us as well to go and be in the morphic field where the science of miracles and instantaneous transformation and action at a distance and invisibility and levitation all comes from free energy.
Wow. Oh, I think it's, well, I'm just thrilled you're coming to my hometown because I'm going to grab whatever you have to offer. And I know that something else that you're offering personally, Melissa, and I'd love you to talk about it, is Mjoy of Being, the seminar series. When did this come about? How are you sharing it? Tell us about this.
Well, the Mjoy of Being seminar promoted by Matrix Energetics is also one of our newest babies, and it's right now it's the Mjoy of Being Women seminar, and it is a very, very powerful seminar focused primarily on integration of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine found through heart-centered awareness, and then focusing very specifically on new morphic fields of expansion that allow for women and really anyone to move out of resonance with fields of fear, fields of limitation, fields that do not support the individual in experiencing self-love and self-fulfillment, and really being able to access these fields of expansion that allow for transformation to unfold in a really, really easy way. So it's a course that is a very nice complement to the teachings of Matrix Energetics and the Fundamentals, Magic, and Mastery course. It's also really a wholly individuated seminar that anyone can attend without having any experience with Matrix Energetics. The focus of heart-centered awareness is really a universal language that once someone becomes fluent in that, it becomes the first point of reference for everything that we notice and everything that we experience. I just spent the last weekend in San Diego teaching the Mjoy of Being Women seminar series, and the magic that happens when a group of women come together in heart-centered awareness and really tap into their true, authentic power, which is not a power over anything or anyone. And when we let go of our conditioning around how we're supposed to show up as women based on cultural programs and societal expectations and really come into resonance with our true, authentic self, is a beautiful, graceful expression of universal consciousness, and it's truly magical. I'm humbled and really, really touched by what has been unfolding, and I really invite any any woman who might be interested in exploring what's available to consider the class. I'm not one to be a big advocate of women's programs. In fact, when the course first downloaded, I was quite resistant to it. I absolutely love teaching matrix energetics with Richard Bartlett, who is very much a man, and I really wasn't interested in teaching a course for women per se, but it is not about being women. It is about coming into a core resonance with our limitless nature in the container of the sacred feminine and integrating that with the notion that we are limitless beings no matter what container we've chosen. So it's a really nice complement to matrix energetics, and it's also a great way to meet the field of matrix energetics. We had a number of students who've never been to an ME seminar, and they're very excited about coming back to fundamentals after what they experienced at the Mjoy seminar.
Well, how would people find out about the seminars and where they're offered?
All of our seminars are posted on the Matrix Energetics website at www.matrixenergetics.com, and that's spelled MatrixEnergetics.com. We are going to be in Atlanta this weekend teaching the fundamentals and the unplugged, and then the following week we will be teaching another new seminar that we have, which is one of our favorites, called the Field Trip, which is a combination of the unplugged as well as an intuitive awareness intensive, and I'll let Richard share a little bit about that. And then we'll be heading off to Moscow, assuming we get our travel visas, and then we will be in Germany and England and Italy for about 6 weeks, and then we'll be coming back and teaching the several seminars in the Seattle area in the beginning of December. We'll also be posting our 2015 schedule in the next month, so we would recommend listeners really just sign up to receive our newsletter, and then you'll get updates periodically about new seminars. We also would recommend that our listeners consider picking up either the Physics of Miracles and the Matrix Energetics book, and or the new book, Mjoy, Practically Speaking. Richard and I also have a beautiful audio program, Guides, Grace, and the Field of the Heart, into the Matrix, which is about 6 hours of Richard and I in a conversation with the field of matrix energetics and in a conversation with one another. And then we also have the Matrix Energetics Experience Kit, which is an audio program that Richard put together in 2008 that has a number of aspects of the field of matrix energetics. The audio programs are a nice supplement to the seminar experience, but in no way, shape, or form do they come close to touching what is available from the live, interactive, full immersion, in-person seminar experience. Richard, what would you like to share about that? Because people often ask us, well, why should I come to a seminar? Can't I just listen to the audios?
Well, some of you may not be old enough, but it's the difference between listening to the Grateful Dead on your cassette player and going to a Grateful Dead concert. Does that make it clear enough?
I love it. I love it. Richard, would you also talk about what Melissa had mentioned, the field trip, the unplugged field trip versus the and I'm not sure I'm saying this correctly, so Melissa, you may have to correct me on this. Unplugged spatial clairvoyance field trip. Is there a difference between, are those two separate workshops?
The field trip and the spatial clairvoyance or unplugged class are bundled together. The reason for that is I've had remote viewing training from an actual original member of the remote viewing team at Fort Detrick, Maryland. That process of accessing intuitive awareness by sketching and by tracking information through autonomic responses, similar to how a pendulum works. The pendulum doesn't actually know anything. It's not conscious. But what happens is you pick up answers when you ask an open-ended question that your higher mind and your subconscious mind know from universal mind, and then that changes minutely the gradations of response in the fine motor movements of your hand, and that's how the pendulum bobs and weaves and gives you answers. Well, what we teach you in the field trip is how to graph consciousness spatially, how to track everything we've taught you, how to track the answers to open-ended questions, and pretty much how to watch in real time not only what is the problem, where the patterns are that can or need to change, but how to change them, how to access that change, and how to know as you're doing it, because it's an entanglement process where as you do it, the change occurs. So it's an instantaneous transformation. So I suppose you could call the field trip, it's an intensive in, quote, the healing experience. And that includes working on yourself, working on others, working on your pets, your environment, your finances, your relationships. It applies to absolutely everything. And it's our newest class, and many people love it intensely. We didn't know, Melissa and I, how it was going to go the first time, because basically, Maxine, you know how fun the courses are. Well, we were telling people to sit down and play with dolls and doodle on paper. And that's what the course, that's the elements of the course. Maybe working with a pen laser to work on things. And you will get the most amazing changes in that process. And people suddenly realize, oh my God, I've got access to the entire universe through this process. It's extremely exciting.
And we love the class too, because really it's like we're doodling. We're literally doodling, but in the doodling there is the process. It's remote influencing, not just remote viewing. And so the actual act of engaging in scribbling the pattern is what allows for the pattern itself to begin to reconfigure. So it's a really, really playful way. It's just a different experience, but it's a wonderful way to expand your practice of energy medicine, particularly if you're practicing at a distance, because everything that we're teaching is from the vantage point of working at a distance, even though there is no distance, because it's a unified field and everything is inherently connected. And that's why it works.
Magnificent. I'm sure there are people who right now are so excited to hear about this. I'm one of them. I think what you've done with matrix energetics, or not what you've done, how it has unfolded, how you're expressing it now, is wonderful. And I asked you this question, both of you, the last time I had you on as my guests, and I'm going to ask you again, because from my standpoint, what I see is remarkable. How have you, both of you, changed as a result of being able to share this information? What do you see about yourselves and how you view yourselves and the world now? And again, words are limiting, so I hope you know what I'm asking you.
In some ways, I haven't changed at all. Melissa could vouch for that. I'm a crotchety 60-year-old, very male person, musician first, and doctor second, and clown third, probably. But what it has done, it has taken me deeper into all those aspects of myself. What makes up the experience that I call me. It also has allowed me to define what's, quote, not me, not a part of me, as an expression, so that as I find that those elements of me that I'm in resonance with that are perhaps less useful, I have so many ways and means to change those things up, to transform expectations, to magically almost manifest differences in my life. I was always good at manifesting, but now I understand, even somewhat scientifically, the process. And that's what really, for me, it is It's the deeper walk with thee. It's taking you further and further into aspects of self and becoming one with those aspects, and then letting that unfold in every part of your life.
Melissa? By the way, thank you, Richard. That was beautiful.
That was beautiful, and I'm not going to concur that he's just a crotchety man, because he's actually got a heart that is as limitless as the universe. But I will add that, what I've really come to realize through, playing and living and embodying this field for a number of years is that we are never, ever stuck, and we are beings of grace with the power of choice, and that all of our constructs around who we think we are they're merely that. They're constructs. They're tendencies. They are personas that we step into and we can step out of, and that fields of grace are around us in every moment, and we have the ability, when we consciously choose to be aware of how we've constructed ourselves, to navigate through patterns with a variety of possibilities. So I would say, more than anything, I've learned that we are never stuck. We absolutely have an inherent ability to manifest our heart's desires, that a limitless universe has limitless possibilities and limitless expressions. And those limitless expressions are what make us all individuals, that we all have our unique soul signature that's here to express and shake up the universe in a way that we've perhaps never seen before, but that individuality is still inherently connected to that which is universal consciousness, which is a unified field. So, yes, we are all one, and we are all unique individuals, and we all have a very valuable purpose to be here when we stop buying into trying to conform ourselves to others' expectations, and we really honor our authentic inner essence and allow for that to unfold. And that's really what Matrix Energetics offers to absolutely anyone and everyone.
And I was going to ask you what it offers everyone. And I think, just as a participant and an observer of the two of you over these many years, because I met you back in 2007, I've seen more love, more heart-centeredness being expressed at Matrix Energetics. I've watched the flower blossom. I've watched Matrix Energetics unfold, and I've been thrilled to be a part of it because I resonated with it from the moment I got a copy of Richard's first book. And I've seen both of you come from love more and more and more. And to me, that's what it's all about.
That's basically Melissa. That's basically Melissa. Melissa is all heart. I'm a warrior. She's a warrior as well, but she knows how to open people's hearts and through opening their hearts, have them open their mind and have access to more of themselves. It's fully Melissa.
Oh,
I think it's a combination of both of us. It really is. It's such a team effort. And it really isn't even about he and I. It's really about we get out of the way and we just allow for the field to work it through us. And what comes through is always a unique expression of grace. And it's quite humbling to be a part of. And I feel blessed, and I'm delighted to share the journey with Richard.
And I feel that the rest of us are delighted to have you as part of our own hologram, as part of our own field. And I'm so looking forward, as I said, to being with you guys next week. Do you have any parting shots that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I would say come to the seminar. Your life is waiting for you, and it's not that hard to get to a seminar, and your life will never be the same, and there's so much potential awaiting your recognition, and it becomes so easily available through the Matrix Energetics Seminar experience. So just show up. Real easy.
I would say this is not just about healing, but it's about revealing the deeper aspects of yourself. It's a way to get to know what you really are under the layers of what you think you are. And it is truly a path of self-transformation. If you can't come to the seminar, or if you don't know if you want to come, just come to the Friday night, 2 hours. You'll see things that will amaze you. I know, because they still amaze us. It's fun. You'll laugh a lot. You'll learn a lot. And you may even experience a miracle or two. Be there.
Oh, amen. And if you are, let me add this. If you are looking for people of like mind or of like spirit, I always said I was looking for my own kind, and I found my own kind at Matrix Energetics. You will love it. And as Richard has said, the Friday night is certainly affordable. It costs absolutely nothing. And you will, when you leave, have the opportunity to have fallen in love with you and to be blown away by your limitless potential. I want to thank Dr. Richard Bartlett and Melissa Joy Jonsson. Thank you both so much for being here today. We will talk in person very shortly in Atlanta. And I hope everybody will join me again next week when, once again, we move into the magic, as we did today with Richard and Melissa. Until then, this is Maxine Taylor reminding you